Jonas stepped out the front entrance and ripped off his tie. A uniformed bellboy asked him for his parking stub. "I don't have a car." "Would you like a taxi, then?" "He doesn't need one. I'm his ride." Terry Tanaka stepped out the door behind him. "You? Jesus, when it rains it pours. What is it, Terry? You want to harass me some more?" She smiled. "Okay, I deserve that. Just don't take a swing at me or you'll find yourself on your back." Jonas sat down on the curb, combing his fingers through his hair. His head was throbbing. "What is it you want?" "I followed you here. I'm sorry. Believe me, it wasn't my idea. My father insisted." Jonas glanced back at the door. "This isn't exactly a good time." She handed him a photograph. "It's about this." His eyes took in the image. He looked back at the woman. What the hell did this? Jonas let her take him home, cooling his knuckles in the wind as they drove. His eyes remained on the road, but he kept studying the photograph in his mind. Taken 38,000 feet beneath the surface of the western Pacific in the deep canyon waters of the Mariana Trench, the black-and-white photograph showed a spherical Jonase, unmanned nautical informational submersible, a remote sensing device used to monitor conditions on the ocean floor. Jonas was quite familiar with the most recent research on these remarkable robots. In a joint Japanese-American earthquake detection project, 25 titanium Jonase submersibles had been deployed by the Tanaka Institute along a 125-mile stretch of the Mariana Trench to monitor tremors at the bottom of the world's deepest underwater canyon. The deployment was a success, Terry told him as they reached the freeway. Even my father was happy. Masao Tanaka and the Tanaka Oceanographic Institute in Monterey had designed the Jonase system for the joint project. Within 2 weeks of deployment, the Institute's surface ship, the Kiku, was receiving a steady stream of data, and scientists on both sides of the Pacific were studying the information eagerly. Then something went wrong. 3 weeks after the launch, Terry explained, the Japanese called to say that one of the Jonase robots had stopped transmitting data. A week later, 2 more units shut down. When another one stopped a few days after that, my father decided we had to do something. Terry looked at Jonas. He sent my brother down in the Abyss glider. DJ? He's the most experienced pilot we have. No one should descend that far alone. I agree. I told Dad that I should have gone with him in the other glider. You? Terry glared at him. You have a problem with that? For your information, I happen to be a damn good pilot. I'm sure you are. But at 35,000 feet? What's the deepest you've ever soloed? I've hit 16,000 twice, no problem. Not bad, admitted Jonas. Not bad for a woman, you mean? Hey, I meant not bad for anyone. Very few humans have been down that deep. Damn, Terry, take it easy. She smiled. Sorry. It gets frustrating, you know? Dad's strictly old-fashioned Japanese. Women are to be seen and not heard, that kind of attitude. So go on, said Jonas. How did DJ do in the Marianas? He did well. He found the Jonase, filmed everything. The photo came from his video. Jonas took another look at the photograph. It showed a Jonase submersible lying on its side at the bottom of the Deepwater Canyon. The sphere had been cracked open. Its tripod legs were mangled, a bolted bracket torn off, and the titanium skin of the sphere itself severely battered and scarred. Jonas studied the image. Where's the sonar plate? DJ found it 40 yards down current. He hauled it up. It's at the Institute in Monterey. That's why I'm here. My father would like you to take a look at it. Jonas stared at her skeptically. You can fly up with me in the morning, she said. I'm taking the Institute's plane back at 8. Lost in thought, Jonas almost missed his driveway. There, on the left. She turned down the long, leaf-littered driveway, then parked in front of a handsome Spanish colonial buried in foliage. As Terry switched off the engine, Jonas turned to her and narrowed his eyes. Is that all your father wants? Terry paused a moment. As far as I know. We don't know what happened down there. Dad thinks maybe you could help provide some answers, give us your professional opinion." "My professional opinion is that you should stay the hell out of the Mariana Trench. It's far too dangerous to be exploring, especially in a one-man submersible." "Too dangerous? What is it you're so afraid of, a 60-foot great white shark?" She smirked. "Let me tell you something, Jonas. The data we collected in the first 2 weeks were invaluable. If the earthquake detection system works, it will save thousands of lives. Is your schedule so damn busy that you can't take a day to fly up to the Institute? My father's asking for your help. Just examine the sonar plate and review the video that my brother took, and you'll be home to your darling wife by tomorrow night. I'm sure my father will even give you a personal tour of his new whale lagoon." Jonas took a breath. He considered Masao Tanaka a friend, a commodity he seemed to be running short of lately. "When would we leave?" he asked. "Meet me tomorrow morning at the commuter airport at 7:30 sharp." "The commuter? We're taking one of those puddle jumpers?" Jonas swallowed hard. "Relax. I know the pilot. See you in the morning." Jonas shut the door behind him and switched on the light, feeling for a moment like a stranger in his own home. The house was dead quiet. A trace of Maggie's perfume lingered in the air. She won't be home until late, he thought. He went into the kitchen, pulled a bottle of vodka from the cabinet, then changed his mind. He turned on the coffee maker. When the coffee was done, he grabbed a mug and the entire pot and went into his study. Sanctuary. The one room in the house that was truly his own. The walls were covered with contour maps of the ocean's continental margins, mountain ranges, abyssal plains, and deep-sea trenches. Several fossilized megalodon teeth littered the tables. Some stood upright in glass cases. Others lay on stacks of notes like paperweights. A framed painting of a great white shark hung above his desk, and next to it, an anatomical diagram of the creature's internal organs. Jonas set the coffee mug down beside the computer, then positioned himself at the keyboard. A set of jaws from a 12-foot great white gaped at him from high above his monitor. He punched a few keys to access the Internet, then typed out the web address of the Tanaka Oceanographic Institute. Jonas gulped the hot liquid and waited for the menu to appear before him. He typed in the word, Eunice. The computer responded, Eunice, unmanned nautical informational submersible. Originally designed and developed in 1979 by Masao Tanaka, CEO of the Tanaka Oceanographic Institute, to study whale populations in the wild. Reconfigured in 1997 in conjunction with the Japan Marine Science Technology Center, JAMSTEC, to record and track seismic disturbances along deep-sea trenches. Each Eunice system is composed of a 3-inch thick titanium outer shell. The unit is supported by 3 retractable legs and weighs 2,600 pounds. Each Eunice system is designed to withstand pressures of 35,000 pounds per square inch. Eunice communicates information back to a surface ship by way of fiber optic cable. Jonas reviewed the engineering reports of the Eunice systems, impressed by the simplicity of the design. Positioned along a seismic fault line, the Eunice remotes could detect the telltale signs of an impending earthquake. Southern Japan had the misfortune of being geographically located on the convergence of 3 tectonic plates. Periodically, these plates grind against each other, generating about 1/10 of the world's annual earthquakes. One devastating quake in 1923 had killed over 140,000 people. In 1994, Masao Tanaka had been desperately seeking funds to complete his dream project, a monstrous cetacean lagoon or whale sanctuary. JAMSTEC had agreed to fund the entire project if the Tanaka Institute would provide 25 Eunice remotes to monitor seismic activity within the Challenger Deep. 3 years later, the systems had been successfully deployed, but after a few weeks of transmitting critical data to the surface ship 7 miles above, something had gone wrong. Now Masao Tanaka needed Jonas's help to discover the cause of the breakdowns. Jonas took a long swig of coffee. The Challenger Deep, he thought to himself. Submarine experts referred to it as Hell's antechamber. Jonas just called it hell. 20 miles away, Terry Tanaka, freshly showered, wrapped in a hotel towel, sat on the edge of a queen-sized bed at the Holiday Inn. Taylor had really irked her. The man was obstinate with strong chauvinistic ideas. Why her father had insisted that the team required his input was beyond her. Pulling out her briefcase, Terry decided that she needed to review the personnel file on Professor Jonas Taylor. She knew the basics by heart. Educated at Penn State, advanced degrees from the University of California, San Diego, and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. Previously a full professor at the Scripps Institute, and author of 3 books on paleobiology. At one time, Jonas Taylor had been considered one of the most experienced submersible pilots in the world. He had piloted the Alvin submersible 17 times, leading multiple explorations to 4 different deep-sea trenches in the 1980s. And then 7 years ago, for some unknown reason, he had simply given it all up. "It doesn't make sense," Terry said aloud. Thinking back to the lecture earlier in the evening, she remembered the bushy-eyebrowed man who had practically accused Jonas of piloting an expedition into the Mariana Trench. Yet nothing in his personnel file indicated any trip into the Challenger Deep. Terry powered up her laptop computer and accessed the Institute's computers. She punched up Mariana Trench. Words scrolled down her screen. File name: Mariana Trench. Location: Western Pacific Ocean, east of Philippines, close to island of Guam. Facts: deepest known depression on Earth. Measures 35,827 feet deep, 10,920 meters, over 1,550 miles long, 2,500 kilometers, making the trench the deepest abyss on the planet and the second longest. The deepest area of the Mariana Trench is called the Challenger Deep, named after the Challenger II expedition that discovered it in 1951. Note: a 1-kilogram weight dropped into the sea above the trench would require more than an hour to reach bottom. Terry skimmed through the file. Nothing about Jonas Taylor here. She keyed in naval exploration. Naval exploration. Sea Trieste, 1960. Seacliff, 1990. Seacliff. Why hadn't the name appeared in the other file? She probed further, and her screen flashed a brief message. Seacliff. Access denied. Authorized U.S. naval personnel only. For several minutes, Terry attempted to gain access to the file, but it was hopeless. She felt a knot in her stomach. She put the laptop away, thinking of tonight's lecture. Her first meeting with Jonas Taylor had been 10 years ago at a symposium held at her father's institute. Jonas had been invited to speak about his deep-sea dives aboard the Alvin submersible. At the time, Terry had been 17 and had worked closely with her father, organizing the symposium, coordinating travel and hotel arrangements for more than 70 scientists from around the world. She had booked Jonas's ticket and met him at the airport herself. She recalled developing a schoolgirl crush on the deep-sea pilot with the athletic build. Terry looked at his picture again in her file. Tonight, Professor Taylor had appeared confident, yet, in a way, a little helpless. A handsome face, tan, with a few more stress lines around the eyes, dark brown hair turning gray near the temples. 6'1", she guessed, about 195. Still had the athletic build. What had happened to the man? And why had her father insisted on locating him? As far as Terry was concerned, Jonas Taylor's involvement was the last thing the Eunice project needed. She put the laptop away.